Chop out. Big, big king. Get free or die. Heavy is the head to wear the crown. All right, kings and queens. I need y'all to hit that thumbs up. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe to King Jah Power. I need you to hit that little bell so you can get the videos as they come. I also need you to go to the throne of King Jah Power. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and make sure you hit that little bell. Okay? Because I got some fire for y'all over there that y'all need to be participating in. Now, I found this article, that I thought, could be helpful to the black community, to the global black community out there. See, because, again, like this video, we've been taught in America to hate Africa, to hate everything black. See what I'm saying? To shun our heritage, to try to hide and try to pretend like it's a whole nother people. We've been taught that through the media. That just facts. That just facts. But this article I'm about to share with y'all is called The Social Distance Between African and African Americans. Okay? Again, like this video, now I'm not going to read the whole article because I already know what they're talking about. I read it already. But listen to this. This article was wrote by an African. Okay? So it must have been, this is a quote somebody gave about an experience that they had as an African dealing with African Americans. Okay? It must have been the African print attire. Listen to this now. Because you about to hear the propaganda reveal itself. See what I'm saying? And how we think. The social training. The social mind comp they done put down on black Americans about Africa and Africans. Okay? Listen now. It must have been the African print attire I was wearing on Saturday afternoon that drew their attention. Talk about African Americans. Where you from, yo? A group of black teenage boys acquired as they accosted me on the train from Manhattan to Brooklyn. I'm from Africa. I said, not exactly sure what prompted the question. Then came a barrage of more questions. Man, do African people have tails in Africa? And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. This is the African American asking the African these questions. Do people in Africa have tails? Okay? Is it true that people live in trees in Africa? Okay? When the last time you shaved? They heckled me and burst out ridiculously laughing, referring to my hairy legs exposed underneath my colorful pair of Ghanaian kente cloths. Okay? I was wearing. Immediately, it became clear that these were not questions born out of sheer curiosity, but nurtured by ignorance and stereotypes about Africa and Africans. Okay? Now I'm going to read a little bit more of this, like the video. In the United States, some scholars who have studied relationships between African Americans and African immigrants have observed a social distance between both groups, which we're trying to fix now. In 2012, Adibodo Kamaka, a graduate student at Rice State University, Ohio, wrote a doctorate thesis on how racism plays and prompted a role in shaping the dynamic inherited racism is accepted of the stereotypes or beliefs that painted one's racial group as a subhuman, inferior, incapable of a defined task and burden on sociality, okay? According to Laura Pilden, a professor of California Western School of Law. Okay, so people done, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute, done studied this. Okay, and this is it. We can see, as which I'm gonna talk about in a minute, the propaganda coming out in this. Listen to this now. Howard W. Finch, a professor at Columbia University Graduate School journalism, provides historical content explaining why American politics, popular culture, and education, the miseducation, okay, have all combined with propaganda, okay, over a long period of time, inhabit a long period of time to inhabit a close relationship between Africans and continental Africans. For a very long time in the 20th century, during Jim Crow years, a particular African American were encouraging to shun the idea to the connection of Africa, okay, to Africa, to think poorly of Africa, to celebrate traits in themselves which supposedly distance themselves from Africa, okay, which ain't nothing but white culture. See, that's what FBA be doing. In other words, to think of themselves as more cultured, more Christian, more white, okay, more civilized than Africans, okay, and therefore to look at Africanness as a matter of shame or a kind of tainted and that needed to be avoided. The Frenchman told me in an interview, okay, the overwhelming majority of black Americans are at the very least 6 or 7 generations culturally removed from Africa, which is true. Disconnecting them from their homeland and place them in an entirely new, vastly different culture, okay, to which they have adapted rapidly. African Americans created black American culture. I don't know what that is. That was distantly different from their African roots, wrote Phil Gay, the former professor of sociology at San Diego University. This was in the LA Times. This 5, family, the overwhelming majority of black Americans are at least, okay, hold on, we just got that. 6 or 7, they speak no African language. There's no religious beliefs and practices are non-African. Their daily cuisine is non-African. Now, it depends on where you at if you saying that, because if you down south, it's all African. Their material family structure typically is non-African. They have no relatives in Africa. That's a lie right there. And they have never themselves been to Africa. See, that's a problem right there. It says the overwhelming majority of black Americans are at the least 6 or 7 generations culturally removed from Africa, said Gay. In 1989 article, he says they speak no African language, they have no African religion or beliefs and practices, a non-African culture. Their daily cuisine is non-African. Their material family structure is non-African. They have no relatives in Africa and they never been to Africa themselves, which is a very great problem. In their study about the relationships among Africans and African Americans and Africans in the Caribbean, persons Jennifer V. Jackson and Mary E. Colin noted that there were these 3 groups in the U.S. have similar interracial struggles that create some imbalance of common bond that they fail to appreciate their common heritage. According to the research, it indicates that African Americans and Africans in the West Indies communicated poorly and did not get along due to the myths and misconceptions and stereotypes. Okay? I'm going to read this last little bit. Communication problems are to blame. Communication problems are blamed on history of slavery and divisionists, and the doctrine of dividing and conquer. Black people were set up against each other and told not to associate with each other because of blacks' negative attributes. So who told them not to associate with each other? Okay? The white man. The white man. Who y'all trying to snuggle up to? Y'all done chose to run from your African heritage and your African culture and your African language, which was fear, to prove to the white man that you ain't no African. You want to dress like him. You want to eat like him. You want to date his women. You want to have babies with the white man. Or to distance yourself from what he told you Africa was. Now, when you go to Africa and the plain land, it be 1,000 Muzungus, 1,000 damn snowmen hopping off the plane like they getting off in Hollywood or something. That's just facts. They be dressed as if they going on the greatest vacation in their life. That's just facts. They be smiling and shit. But y'all don't know that. You only gonna know that if you go. But see, we talk about a social distance between two of the same people. That's the problem. Okay? That's the problem. See? We gotta once we realize that the propaganda that they push in the media is what separate us as a people. Cause really, a lot of what they done told is a myth. Is a damn myth. For real. And you see the little African boy getting on the train. And he say, you know, where you from? I'm from Africa. And so they start picking on the African, just like I said the other day. Y'all doing them like they done us. And if I catch somebody doing that, I'm going to kick your MF ASS on the spot. Period. Your teeth going to be laying on the ground. Period, yo. Because that's bullying. And I don't like nothing like that. I might blast you for some shit like that. For real. Because you ain't doing nothing but doing them like they done us. They pull you up. Where you going? Pull you over. Where you going, boy? The same harassment, you know, and I see like the word African booty scratcher. That came from white people. And then when the African immigrants was coming over here in school, y'all started saying that to them. What the white people said to y'all. So you ain't doing nothing but you done inhaled, you done ingested poison. And you know, it's in your DNA now to where you would rather die under white people than have your own. Especially if they talk about you got to go to Africa. Why? Because of all this stuff y'all been taught in the media. Because when you really get to sit down and talk to an African, and y'all gonna see a lot of similarities. But then, before you was talking to them, all you thought you seen were differences. That was a mind comp put on your mind by Western media. Okay? That just facts. It just said it. The scientist said it. Don't make me go back. Because I know it off the top of the head. See, when I do videos, normally I don't even need no article. Normally that just be stuff coming up in my mind. I just save it, put it in the stash for later. Okay? And so, I could flood the market with some videos. That ain't nothing. But y'all ain't moving fast enough. I was doing that at first. That's how I done passed damn near everybody on YouTube as far as, you know, having a mass amount of videos. You see what I'm saying? And I only done been on here 2 years. And done accumulated damn near 1,400 videos on just that one channel. The other one almost got 500. And I just started this 6 months ago. But y'all can't even keep up with at the pace we at. Not letting on speeding up. But I used to see the Africans in school getting picked on by African Americans. That's just facts. And I never done the shit because I knew that wasn't right. I knew that wasn't right. See? And then as I got older, I realized that, they done been taught a certain way too about how they look at African Americans. Okay? Taught to them by white people in the media in Africa. They in Africa, just like you in America, they don't teach them African history. They teach them about Europeans. So they over there teaching about what's that? Smith and Wesson and uh uh John Smith and all of these silly little slave masters. The same way they taught you about George Washington and all of this, they teach them the same thing. To worship Europeans. That's facts. So that's a similarity you got right there. And if the African and African American sit down and just with that subject alone and pick that apart, we'll be getting somewhere. We'll be cooking with fish grease. We'll be getting somewhere. Like this video, family, because I'm telling you, the African versus African American argument need to die. Period, it need to die. Why? Because now we know it's Europeans. Science done studied. See, these Negroes don't believe in science. They want to create a myth. Africans don't like us. Africans don't like us. Yeah, I wouldn't like you either. Period. The little suicidal maniac attitude that ADOS and FBA have about they own, that's suicide. That's suicide. You Africans versus African Americans is suicide for the black race. Period. According to this article, period. The diaspora will get smaller and smaller if we start. So you ain't doing nothing but creating problems. All these little goofy channels out here ain't doing nothing but creating problems. Now, you can't leave America and wear your FBA shirt. Okay? Because now that's dangerous. It was already dangerous. Let me tell y'all something. When you leave America, especially if you white, they tell them do not be out there in the world in all these other countries wearing that American flag. Why? Because all the shit that America done did on this planet to all these other nations. And they know that, if you wear that shirt out there, say you go to the Middle East or to Africa or somewhere where they done did a lot of treachery, something might happen to you. Okay? Something could happen to you. See? Because it stands for white power. So you look at the FBA flag, that ain't nothing but white power disguised as fighting white supremacy when you only want to be next to white supremacy. You want to be the European. See what the article say. Let me go down. Like the video, family, because I got another one coming up. Listen to this. The overwhelming majority of black Americans are at least 6 or 7 generations culturally removed from Africa, disconnecting them from their homeland, placed in an entirely new, vast, different culture, okay, to which they had to rapidly adapt, okay? African Americans created black culture that was distantly different from their African roots, okay? They speak no African language. They have no religious beliefs or practices that's non-African. Their daily cultural cuisine is non-African. Again, that depends on where you at. Because if you down south, again, it's all African. There are family structural differences are typically non-African. They have no relatives in Africa. They have themselves never been to Africa. Okay? Now here you go right here. In their study, African Americans and Africans from the Caribbean, okay, the 3 groups in the U.S. have similar interracial struggles. that create some semblance of common bonds. They fail to appreciate the common heritage, okay, that they all share, African Americans, African Caribbeans, and continental Africans, okay? According to the research, it indicates that African Americans and Africans in the West Indies communicated poorly, didn't get along due to the myths and misconceptions and ignorance and stereotypes. The communication problems blamed on the history of slavery. If divisiveness and doctrine to divide and conquer black people was set against each other and told not to associate with other blacks because of the negative attributes. Okay? I want to go to that one. Like the video, family. Look, here you go right here. For a very long time in the 20th century, during Jim Crow, the years in particular, African Americans were encouraged to shun, encouraged by who? Encouraged by who? To shun the idea of the connection to Africa, to think poorly of Africa, to celebrate traits in themselves which supposedly distant themselves from Africa. In other words, to think, listen to this, to think of themselves more cultured, more Christian, more white. Okay. So y'all still stuck in the past. Y'all still stuck in the past. That's why Black Power on top. Once you figure out that these people done put this in your mind about Africa, you wouldn't have to create all these little fake groups to pretend you some type of proud American or some type of fake ass Indian. Okay? You wouldn't have to do all that. If you learn about your African history, you know what you do. You don't want to study. You don't want to travel. You want to sit up here and work a little $2 job, okay, and never get nowhere. That's just facts, and live on welfare. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Just be real. Just be real. Just be real. Just be real. Why? Because it make it easier. You always have an excuse. See what I'm saying? Always an excuse. That's what you got. That's what you got. Always an excuse to sit up under your white zaddy. See? The white man is your God. The white man is your God. You know nothing about Africa. And as far as, America is concerned, you will never know nothing about Africa. They will always teach you against yourself and have you beefing with yourself. So until you learn Mama Africa, the killings in the projects in America will never stop. Until you learn about Mama Africa, they will always be able to pull you over and kill you anytime they want to. Okay? Until you learn about Mama Africa, they gonna always teach you a miseducation in the miseducation system. All right? Until you learn about Africa, you gonna die with the white man on your tomb. You gonna die never knowing the truth. And then, let me say it like this with all due respect. The grandmama is not the source of all knowledge. Let me say that again. Grandma is not the source of all knowledge on the planet. What are you talking about? They was taught a slave history. They was taught to hate Africa. Period. Not everybody, but most. To the point that they tried to straighten their hair out with red devil lye and pig fat to make their hair look straight like Europeans. That's just facts. But if you was already a Neanderthal, your hair would already be straight. I tell you like I tell them, because it's the same shit. Your whole philosophy was created by Western media. That ain't knowledge. That's just a fool. All right, family. Hope y'all like this video. Right here. You see that it was created, cultivated, and served to you by Western white media. In other words, they think of themselves more cultured, more Christian, more white, or more civilized than Africans. That's a shame. Jah power. Big, king. Get free or die. Heavy is the head to wear the crown.